Our story begins in the year 1520 in the sprawling, majestic heart of the Ottoman Empire, Constantinople. A new sultan ascended the throne, a man barely 26 years old, yet destined to be one of the most powerful rulers the world would ever know. His name was Suleiman I, but history would remember him as Suleiman the Magnificent. His father, Selim I, had been a great conqueror, but Suleiman sought something more than just conquest. He sought to create a golden age. From the moment he took power, he was seen as a dynamic and brilliant leader. But the world was watching. Europe was restless. Within his first few years, Suleiman made it clear that the Ottoman Empire was a force to be reckoned with. His early actions were swift and strategic. In 1521, he captured the strategically vital city of Belgrade, a gateway to Central Europe. The following year, he targeted the island stronghold of Rhodes, held by the Knights Hospitaller. It was a grueling 6-month siege, but Suleiman ultimately prevailed. This victory secured the Ottoman control of the eastern Mediterranean, making his empire the naval superpower of the region. These early triumphs signaled the start of a long and glorious reign, one that would see the Ottoman Empire reach the very peak of its military and political might. While the Europeans called him the Magnificent for his military successes, his own people knew him by a different title, Kanuni, or the Lawgiver. This name speaks to his greatest domestic achievement. Suleiman saw that the existing laws of the empire were confusing and often contradictory. He ordered his top jurists to compile a unified code of laws. This new system, known as the Kanuni Osmani, covered everything from criminal justice to land tenure and taxation. He reformed the legal system to be more fair and consistent, focusing on protecting the poorest subjects from overzealous officials. This stable and just legal foundation was essential to the empire's success and longevity. Under his patronage, the arts, architecture, and learning flourished. The imperial court was a center of brilliance. The greatest architect of the age, Mimar Sinan, built stunning mosques, bridges, and palaces that still define the skyline of Istanbul today, including the spectacular Suleiman I Mosque. This era was a golden age for culture. Poets, artists, and scholars were celebrated and supported, making Istanbul a beacon of civilization that rivaled any European capital. The Lawgiver was not just a warrior. He was an enlightened patron of civilization. Suleiman's shadow stretched far beyond his borders. His greatest rival was the Habsburg Empire, led by Emperor Charles V. The conflict was constant, fighting for control over Hungary, North Africa, and the Mediterranean. In 1526, Suleiman won a decisive victory at the Battle of Mohacs, which led to the collapse of the Kingdom of Hungary and brought the Ottoman forces right up to Central Europe. 3 years later, in 1529, the Ottomans laid siege to the great Habsburg capital, Vienna. This siege marked the furthest extent of Ottoman expansion into Europe. While the siege ultimately failed, it terrified Europe and established a border that would remain largely unchanged for over a century. On the domestic front, Suleiman's life was shaped by an extraordinary woman, Hurrem Sultan. She was a concubine of Slavic origin, who rose to become his legal wife, an unprecedented act that broke over a century of tradition. Hurrem was highly intelligent and politically savvy. She became his most trusted advisor, influencing state affairs and using her position to sponsor charitable works. Their partnership was a political and romantic legend, showcasing a human side to the formidable sultan. Suleiman's reign lasted an incredible 46 years. By the time of his death, the Ottoman Empire was a vast realm stretching from North Africa to Persia and from the Balkans to Arabia. It controlled the most important trade routes and possessed a massive treasury. However, the long reign was not without its shadows. The later years were marred by palace intrigue, most tragically the execution of his talented eldest son, Mustafa, due to suspicions fueled by political rivals. In 1566, at the age of 72, Suleiman led his final military campaign into Hungary. During the grueling siege of Sigetvar, the Sultan, weak and ill, passed away in his tent. His death was kept secret for nearly 48 days to prevent a morale collapse among the troops. Suleiman the Magnificent left behind a massive and powerful state, ruled by a stable and comprehensive legal code. He was a military genius who expanded his empire and a fair-minded lawgiver who brought an unparalleled era of stability and culture to his people. His legacy is one of magnificence in both conquest and rule, forever marking him as the greatest of the Ottoman sultans. His era was truly the Golden Age, a time when the Ottoman Empire dictated the terms of power to the world.